How would you feel if suddenly you lost the person that moved your life in all the aspects? Take a look at your youth and adolescence. Did you have that moment in your life? But what if you lose that person because of death? Would it carry you to question even the reason of living? Hello, I'm David Aulestia, and welcome to this chapter of Going Through the Hidden Corners of Literature. Here we will analyze the painful and deep questions that John Green brings up in Looking for Alaska, one of his most famous novels in which he develops the cause of coming out of age. Why did David choose this book? Maybe you wonder about because it is a mere imitation and projection of all the challenges we have to face during the adolescence. This is only an example of how this part of life can be perceived through love, friendship, pain, identity, and the fact of discovering yourself. Literature is a vehicle of human communication, so it raises lots of questions not only about human beings, but also about deep meanings. Taking into account an Aristotle's perspective, literature is a way to imitate life. In Looking for Alaska, we can notice the imitation of adolescence, with its variety of feelings such as sadness, anger, rebellion, and happiness. This novel mirrors reality through cool experiences of teenagers at Culver Creek School. For example, the pranks of the Eagle, Miles' attempt to win Alaska's heart, smoking in the woods, and the late-night conversations reproduce the sense of freedom and identity that many young people live through. What about the narrator? This story is about Miles, also called Pudge. His vocalization shapes how we perceive Alaska. We never fully see her independently. She only exists through Miles' perspective and his desire as well as his confusion. This limited focalization not only creates a mystery around Alaska, but also it gives us the opportunity to start analyzing this book from an older perspective. So, how about Alaska? Not only as the manic pixie girl, but also Alaska as a figure constructed by Miles' perspective. Alaska is only analyzed by this point of view of Miles, so do we perceive her as a construction of him? That tension is central to how readers can interpret this book. In this case, Alaska challenges a lot the gender expectations, being direct, even cruel, but spoken and sexually free. On the other hand, how about the perspective of psychoanalysis? This novel is full of samples and unconscious desires. For example, Alaska's obsession with death, taking into account her famous line, "You'll smoke to enjoy it, I smoke to die." It reveals an unresolved trauma related to her mother's death. Miles, in his side, is unconsciously drawn to Alaska as an object of desire that represents both life and instinct. Finally, the labyrinth metaphor that comes from Simon Bolivar's last word, it shows an unstoppable feeling of pain, guilt, and desire from which humans try to escape. And how about the point of author reading and text? We can find in John Green's framework that many ways to interpret Alaska's story convey to one point. It depends on the reader's perspective. It was never made to be idealized. For example, my perceptions nowadays about this book are totally different than they used to be 10 years ago, when I read this for the first time. This shows how literature functions as a dialogue between author, text, and audience. Meaning is not fixed, it's created on both sides of communication. Okay, to sum up, Looking for Alaska can teach us that literature as human communication is not only about telling story, but about opening spaces to reflect on life, love, grief, identity through previous concepts like mimesis, vocalization, psychoanalysis, feminist criticism, and dialogue between author and reader. This novel communicates beauty and depth. So, are you still looking for your grade perhaps like Miles? Or have you already found it?